So I'm sitting here eating my banana bread and enjoying it so much. And I had some things on my mind that I wanted to talk to you all about. And normally I do cooking videos. I have done a few game videos, and I have done some, of course, cake videos. But I have had a lot on my mind the last few days because of some incidences that happened very nearby my home. And it has got me to doing a lot of thinking. And while I am sitting here, I wanted to talk to you about things, about life, about our kids. The reason I started playing games in Roblox several years ago was for the kids. The kids need interaction. The kids need to know that their parents care. They don't necessarily need to spend all their time on games because it's not really healthy. They need to be out playing kickball and baseball and tennis and exercising and playing board games with the family. Those things are majorly important. I can't stress it enough. But most of our kids these days play online games. And I know that because I have played online games with many of your children. They are looking for adult interaction. You don't even realize it. Yes, they want to play games, but that's not what it's all about. What they're really looking for is someone just to give them time. Kids go to school all day. Many of them come home to an empty house. Their parents are either working, or some are even out just having their own life while their kids are sitting home alone. So, that being said, I want to encourage each of you to spend time with your kids every day. You know, during my time playing games, I have helped kids with their math homework. I have helped kids with their social issues. I have given them a little Robux here and there because it makes them happy. Some of them are so grateful that they would help me in any way they can to earn points in a game. Many of them would help me even try to build a game because they were so happy that someone took the time out for them and made their game a little more enjoyable. So I am admonishing each of you as parents to spend more time with your children. Listen to what they've got to say. They deal with issues today, in the day we live in, that we never had to deal with. They deal with everyday peer pressure. They deal with things that are unheard of. Kids nowadays are dealing with guns and drugs and alcohol at such an early age. And we've got to be there for them. We got to let them know that those things are so unnecessary, that they won't make their life any better. They're only going to make their life worse. So we, as parents, as grandparents, have got to spend time nurturing them, loving them, teaching them, and training them to be successful adults, not to waste their life on frivolous things. Games are a lot of fun, but unless you're building one or you're coding one, it's not going to take you anywhere in life. Of course, there's the YouTubers who play the games for money, and they're having fun at it, and they're earning some major bucks. So if you can be one of those, then yeah, it's going to get you somewhere. But the most important thing is your people skills. You need to learn to interact with people every day, face to face. And you also need to learn about life skills. Life skills cannot necessarily be taught or learned in a game. You learn a few things here and there, just a little bit. But real life skills come from getting out and rubbing shoulders with people. That being said, I want to admonish each of you to get involved with the games that your children are playing. Get involved with their everyday life. Go to activities with them. This is your time with your children now, because soon they will be grown up and have children of their own. So this is your time with them. Don't let it pass you by. Don't let them become a child of the system, because technically that's what they become if you don't put yourself into them. They just become a child of the system. They're going to do what everybody else does. They're going to go where everybody else goes. They're going to partake of the same things. The incidents that I was referring to is a group of boys that had begun to fight, and someone brought a gun to the fight. That just tore me up inside, because that was right here where I live. And I know those parents have done the best they can for their kids. I know that they love their kids and they teach their kids and they send their kids to school and all of that. But that little bit of time that those kids are on their own was enough for them to find trouble. And I know you can't be with them every minute of every day. You cannot watch them every second of every day. But to think of a 13-year-old shooting another 13-year-old absolutely ripped my heart out. Those kids need all the attention they can get. If it had been up to me, and I had seen them out there before all of this took place, who knows, I might have been in the middle of it. But what I really would love to have done is get out there and organize a game, organize an activity and say, hey, let's have fun. We don't have time for fighting. We don't have time for issues. There's so much racism and there's so much diversity among our kids because in America, everybody comes here and everybody wants to live here. But we got to learn to get along. We got to learn to love each other. We got to teach our kids. Our responsibility is to teach them to love others as they love themselves. I've always heard that misery loves company. And I've also heard that you can't love others if you don't love yourself. So let's teach them to love themselves. Teach them to be happy with who they are. Put more time and more effort into them. And at the same time, teach them to love others. Because life is valuable. What you put in them today is going to last them a lifetime. It is valuable. So don't just say, oh, they'll be okay. They love to play games. Just ignore it. Because you see, I love to play games too. Oh, I love to play games. But I also know that there is life outside of games. There is chores to be done, schooling to be done, cooking to be done, kids to play with who need your time and your attention. We can't neglect that. We can't neglect that. I'm talking to you from my heart today. This age we live in, kids are fragile. Kids are so fragile. They just want to be noticed. They just want to be loved. They just want to be somebody. And if they're not getting it from the adults in their life, and if they're not getting it from activities in their life, they're going to get it out there on the street. And it's not going to be positive. It's going to be, I have a name for fighting. I have a name for being a bully. I have a name for being a crook or a druggie or whatever. That's not the kind of name we want for our kids. We want our kids to have a name for being smart, well-educated, well-rounded, the nicest kid you could ask for. I have a friend whose child saved another child from drowning. This child, I think, was only 6 years old. He could have looked the other way because his life was at stake. But he alerted someone and he jumped in that water and he saved another child's life. That's what we need to put in our kids. We need to put integrity in our kids. We need to put compassion and generosity and love for each other in our kids. We can't just let them live haphazardly. We just can't let them be raised by other kids. Because that's what we do if we don't take time for them. I miss the days when we came home from school, which, I worked at a Christian school. I cooked meals for the kids every day. And that was such a joy to me to provide those kids with those meals. I'm not the most fantastic cook in the world, but I fed those kids and I loved every moment of it. And those kids come to me even still today sometimes as adults and say, oh, I miss your meals. And I miss them. I miss the kids. I miss cooking for the kids because that was time for me to bond with them. I miss the days coming home from school and doing homework and going to the baseball games with my kids. It's different when it's your grandkids. It's fun. But I enjoyed it with my kids. I enjoyed watching them interact with other kids in the neighborhood. And sometimes I had to break up fights. And sometimes I dealt with kids in the neighborhood who were not so kind, or who were troublemakers, or who even threatened me or my children. But as a parent, I was proactive and I was there. And instead of banishing those kids. Instead of pushing those kids away, I drew those kids in and I let them know that, our house is a place you can come and feel love. Our house is a place you can come and feel protection. Our house is a place that you can come and learn. And, I miss those children running in and out of my house. It didn't matter that now you were getting to be 12 and 13. If mom said it was story time, then we're going to read a story. It may be an inspirational book. It may be a story. It may be an inspirational movie. But we had our inspirational time, and that's so valuable. It's so important. Don't forget, your kids need to be taught values. They don't need to just live any old way. They got to be taught values. It's so important. I remember my son sitting on the front porch, cutting the neighborhood kid's hair. Wanted to be a barber. He's never become a barber because he chose a different path. But one of those kids that he cut his hair is a barber. And I think it's awesome that he used to have his hair cut by my son and now he's cutting my son's hair. So, I like to think that maybe coming to my house, maybe spending time with my kids had some impact on him. I don't know if it did or not, but I like to hope it did. One of the young men that used to come to my house is a postman. Many of them have businesses of their own. I applaud them. I'm so proud of the accomplishments they made. And I hope that maybe something I did, I hope that maybe something I said, maybe the way I treated them, the compassion I showed them, just cooking them a meal. I hope somehow it changed them. I hope it made them see that somebody really cares. The school had a great staff. They had other people who cared too. And, it doesn't have to be a Christian school. It can be a public school because there's people who care there too. But the most important part is don't forget them. Don't leave them to their own devices. Don't leave them just to fend for themselves. Be a part, be a part, be a part. I remember a game I played on Roblox where a kid was struggling with his math and he said, I should be doing my math homework right now, but I don't know how. I began to ask this kid, I said, well, what is the problem? What do you not know how to do? So here we are playing a game and I gave him a math lesson. I know I'm not a math teacher, but I taught that kid how to do his homework and he was so excited. The next day he came to me and he said, I got all the problems right and now I finally know how to do it. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time for me. I've had other kids who said, I don't know what I would have done if I had not met you. You changed my life. You changed my life because now my parents are more interactive with me. They came to meet you in a game to find out who their children were talking to, who their children were sharing with. And I got a chance to interact with the parents. I met several families and it's a joy to meet them. It's a joy to meet these parents who love their kids enough to take time out to not only be there for them, but to take time out to meet me, their friend. And I don't play Roblox much anymore, but many of those kids call me to check on me. They send me messages to check on me. How are you? Are you okay? Sometimes they ask for things and sometimes I give them the little Robux here and there. But it's an honor. It's an honor to be there for kids. It's an honor to love children, to have children. Just love it. They're going to be grown before you know it. Don't say, well, I'm too busy. Someday they'll be grown, and let them raise themselves. It's an honor to be a parent. Put yourself into it. Spend as much time with them as you can. Love them, cherish them, teach them, train them. Make them set goals for themselves. Make them be a better person. Someday they'll thank you for it. And you'll be proud of them. And you will be thankful for it. Because if you don't, you're probably going to be raising your grandchildren. You're probably going to be dealing with kids who may be on drugs or alcohol or in jail. And I don't want any of you parents to go through that. Give them the time now. Now is the time. while they're little. Teenagers are the hardest. And I have some that will soon be approaching teenage years, and they're the hardest. That's when the peer pressure is the worst. That's when the struggle is the worst. But if you put it in them while they're young, they will come to you with their problems. They will rely on you with their problems. They won't be looking for other outlets. They won't be in trouble. They won't be looking for drugs to dull their thinking. They'll know they can count on you. They know that you love them. It's important for our kids to know that they are truly loved. And the way to let them know that is to just simply be there. I'm reminded of the story where the young boy goes to his dad and says, "Dad, how much do you make an hour?" And the dad looks at him and says, "Oh, I make $50 an hour." His dad was a lawyer. His dad was probably some prominent businessman, I don't know. And he comes to his dad and he says, "How much do you get paid an hour?" And he said, $50. And the little boy looks at his dad and he says, "Dad, can I borrow $25? And the dad was angry with him because he was like, "Son, why are you asking me for money?" And he said, "Well, Dad, I have $25, but I need 25 more because I just want to buy an hour of your time." That story will forever stick with me because our kids need a lot more than an hour of your time. And that little boy was willing to just pay for an hour. My hats are off to you stay-at-home parents. You moms who get to stay home with your kids, it's awesome. You'll never regret it. Some dads are working-home dads. You'll never regret it. It doesn't matter how much money you make in this life. All that really matters is being there for somebody else. You know, that's the thing that matters more than anything else. Helping someone else along the way. Loving, cherishing people. Being there for people. Making our kids important. So this video isn't my normal video. I was sitting here just eating my banana bread and drinking my hot cocoa. But I needed to talk to you. I needed to tell you what's on my heart today. Because the incidences in my neighborhood brought me a heavy heart. These are precious children, 13 to 15-year-olds, who just need a little more time with an adult, just a little more time learning about life. They were terrified. They were scared to death. And of course, all the parents came running to take care of them, and I'm thankful they did. But if we would somehow get more organized things together for our kids and teach them to love one another. If we just spent more time teaching our kids and training our kids that just because maybe our upbringing is different, our poverty level or our wealth is different, or our skin color is different, or our language is different, if we spent more time teaching them that those things don't matter, and more time teaching them that we've got to love one another, we can change our world one person at a time. And the way to do that is to be an example, to teach them to be responsible, to teach them to have goals, to teach them to be educated. You may not have a lot of money, but education is everywhere. If you don't have the money to get educated at college somewhere, there's so many things you can learn online. You know, the funny thing is Roblox is just a game. But if you really get into it deeply, you'll find out that it teaches our kids how to build games, how to code, how to make money, how to advance themselves. So, you know, it may just be a game, but in that game, our kids can get an education that can actually give them a position in life. So try not to be too harsh on them and just say a game is a game, because a game may not just be a game. They may be learning, especially if they're going to the Roblox studio. So they need to learn. They need to find something, whatever their passion or their goal is, encourage that, but encourage it in a positive way. I don't know how else to say it. Just encourage their desires. Don't shut them down. Don't make them feel unimportant. Encourage them, but encourage them in an important way. So if they're gaming, teach them to figure out how to build games. If they are doing sports, teach them to be the best sportsman they can be. If they are mentoring other children, believe it or not, my granddaughter was mentoring other children in school when she was in the 2nd grade. She was helping teach other kids because she loved kids. And this little girl that she helped, I had no idea what's going on with her now, but I know that my little granddaughter took time out to mentor her in school. And that's what life's all about. We need to stop looking down on each other. We need to stop the fighting. We need to stop the peer pressure. And the way to do that is to love and to teach them to love and to teach them to look at each other as, how would I put it? Look at each other as souls. Look at each other as looking on their heart, not on their face, not on their person, not on their clothes or their stature in life, but look at people's heart. And everybody has a heart. And everybody has a passion to do something. And if their passion is to go the wrong direction, then we need to redirect them. Most importantly, like I said, we need to teach them more about education, love, compassion, perseverance. I don't know, just teach them to move forward in life, not backward, only forward. And to do it with the help of each other, to be helpful to one another. I don't know what else can be said. I think I've said it all 2 or 3 times. But it's just so important. Our kids need us. And they need us now. Not when they're grown. Not after they're in a jail cell. Not after they've been injured. Not after they've done something that they can't take back. They need us now. They need us now while we can teach them and train them and love them and be there for them. And my goal is to involve you parents. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to comments below. You may disagree with half of what I said, and you may think what I said is good. I don't know. But all I know is your kids are important. You have the opportunity now to help them be better. You have the opportunity to train them in the right way. And only you have the opportunity to teach them about love and compassion for other human beings. I admonish you to do that. I challenge you to let your kids know how important they are and how their goals and their desires and their life matters. Every life matters. I challenge you to be the best parent you can be for your child. I challenge you to be the best teacher you can be for your child, the best grandparent. You know, our kids are raising their own kids now. But when those kids need us, we need to be there. And just be the best you can be. People are important. People are important. Whether they're this big or they're adults or they're old people. People are important. And we can never stop learning and we can never stop growing unless we refuse to learn and we refuse to grow. So let's put a desire to move forward in our kids. How can you help? How can you make this world a better place? Think about it. And when you find the answer, just do it. If you have a suggestion for me, type it below. Just be present in your kids' lives. Just be there for them. They need you. I don't know what else to say. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you in the next video.